I'm not calling for more entitlement programs. I'm calling for more enterprise. I'm not calling to redistribute existing wealth. I'm calling for reinvigorating our stuck 150-year-old energy sector to create some new wealth. So, progressives usually like what I say, because after all, we're talking about bunnies and trees, and I'm a black guy talking about it, and what's not like. Right? But conservatives, we thought, would like it too. Turns out not so much. So, without going through the focus of that, now what do we do? Nancy Pelosi, global hero, got legislation through the House. He got killed in the Senate, and now here we are. Now you got a real problem. Not only you got the problem I told you about, all the social and economic disruption in your country, now you got an ecological problem. This last summer we just had will go down in history as crazy climate summer. You notice that? You had a third of Pakistan underwater. Imagine a third of this campus underwater. Because of climate disruption already today, not 30 years from now, today. Imagine a third of California underwater. You had a third of Pakistan underwater because of climate disruption today. You had an eighth of Russia on fire this summer. An eighth of Russia on fire. Because we have places that usually are 85 degrees, now 115 degrees. And Putin came out knees knocking. I haven't seen Putin scared of anything. He was terrified by what he saw this summer. What's going to happen next summer as the temperature keeps going up? You got a problem. All right? You get crazy climate. I challenge you right now. You can take anybody in here. You can pull out your cell phone and call anybody on your cell phone at random, anywhere in the world, and ask them, hey, past 6 months, seen any strange weather events? Call your hometown. Call your friend in London. Call your ex-girlfriend in Brazil. And just ask the question. And you'll hear about floods and snowpocalypse we had, 26 inches of snow in D.C. You will hear simultaneously around the world right now crazy weather disruption, crazy climate. You can't tell the difference now between Al Gore's movie that scared the crap out of everybody in 2006. I can wheel that movie out right here and wheel out the Weather Channel right here. And you can tell the difference. That was supposed to be 20 years, 20 months. So you got a problem. And so you can't let some recalcitrant senators stop you. So here's what I would argue going forward now. You got to put America back to work to pull America back together. You got to do it in a way that promotes green growth. And you can't do cap and trade. Some people will be glad you can't do cap and trade. You can't do it. Now what you going to do? Man, you're screwed. Good thing I'm here. How about we just go back to the original playbook? I'll give you 3 ideas and I'll sit down. Number 1. If you don't want to treat this like a market failure, fine with me. Wasn't my idea in the first place. You want to just, you don't want to treat this like a market failure. You don't want us to have we can't have a carbon tax. That's socialism. That would be terrible. Okay, well, fine. Don't have no carbon tax. How about cap and trade? Market mechanism says, oh no, that's just cap and tax anyway. It's also socialism. Okay, so the market-based mechanism is socialism. Great. Why don't we do it this way then? Turns out you got this bunch of radicals, these wild-eyed maniacs, these left coast freaks called the United States Supreme Court, who have already ruled that the EPA already has the authority to regulate carbon pollution anyway, just like they regulate everything else. So why don't we do it this way? Let's just throw out your little market-based idea. I liked it a lot. You wrote a book about it, thought it was neat, but you don't like it, fine, we'll get rid of it. Let's do it this way. Let's not treat it like a market failure, let's treat it like a regulatory failure. In other words, suppose we all live in a village. This makes more sense to most people anyway. Suppose we all live in a village. and you have an enterprise that requires that you on every Wednesday walk over to the well and pour a gallon of arsenic into the well. And then turn around and walk back to your hut. Our response wouldn't be, arsenic must be too cheap. How can we get the price of arsenic up, you know? Maybe we should have a cap and tax on crown trail. I don't know how we... No, you wouldn't say there's a market failure. You would say there's a regulatory failure. This should not be allowed. Get the village chieftain or chiefess or something to come in and whop this person with a little whoppy stick and say, don't do it no more, and we're done. Right? I say regulatory failure. Right? Fine with me. Turns out the Supreme Court says we got the power to do that anyway. So the fight then becomes to have the EPA do its job and say, quit pouring the arsenic in the well, period. Now, right? In other words, tell them to quit dumping. Hey, listen, arsenic sucks. Mercury sucks. All these things suck. Cecil knows about it more than anybody in this room. All this stuff sucks. None of this is dangerous as carbon. You can pour a whole bunch of mercury out in the world, and a bunch of people would die, but 100 years from now, people would be around. You keep dumping this carbon in the world, you'll be living on Venus. Right? With maybe some microbes. Okay? So fine. Number one, defend EPA's right to just regulate this stuff. And don't act like it's a terrible thing. That might just be a perfectly good thing. And when Lisa Jackson comes under attack and everybody's going crazy and say, well, look, he could have done another way. Now we're just going to do it the way that most people understand it anyway. So it's poison, it's pollution, it's dangerous, just stop doing it. Number one. Number two, with regard to, that's how you push down the bad stuff. It's going to be a huge fight in the next Congress to keep the Congress from stripping away EPA's authority. Congress is going to try to repeal the Clean Air Act, keep her from doing it. That's the next big fight. Number two, renewable energy standards plus loan guarantees. What am I talking about? What I'm talking about is, why don't you already have all your solar panels up now? Why don't you already have all your wind turbines? Besides the fact you got 150-year head start from the dirty guys, and they got their hand all over the legislative process, you got two problems. You got a lack of demand for the product on the one side, and a lack of supply for capital on the other. This is a really straightforward problem. If you don't want the government to come in and just build all the stuff, which you might do if it were, a global emergency, but if you don't want to do that, then the way that you get there is you have the government say, we have a renewable energy standard. In other words, a renewable energy goal for America, where we say we'll be 20% renewable by, say, 2020. And the government just tells the utility companies, that's what you're going to do.